So, over the past day, I finally got around to watching season one of My Hero Academia. I had been putting it off for quite some time. Ever since I heard of it, since like One Punch Man came out, I've been kind of not really watching this anime, or it wasn't even really on my list. But I finally got around to watching it because I guess I just didn't want to watch another superhero anime so soon after seeing One Punch Man for the first time. But I finally got around to watching My Hero Academia, and I have to say, man, I am very pleasantly surprised. Like, it has issues, sure, but this is probably my favorite mainstream anime I've seen in quite some time. Like, from the get-go, I was really impressed with like the animation, the characters, like the world, the setting, like some of the ideas they put forward. Like, it's all for the most part very unique and creative, and it's really interesting just how similar it is to One Punch Man, but they emphasize like completely different things, and like they make it interesting of like in its own way. Like, they don't just rehash what One Punch Man did or do the same thing or just copy it or no. It's a superhero anime for sure, definitely, and it has the same sort of like invincible hero, aspect to it, but they handle it in completely different ways, and that's kind of interesting. Like, one of the reasons I got into this show was because of All Might's popularity and just how everybody relates to him. And like, in fact, when Arms came out and like Max Brass was announced, like everybody was like, "Oh, that's he's like All Might," and I was just like, "Oh, I guess I have to see My Hero Academia now." So, All Might is I really like this character, and I think it's kind of interesting, like thinking about this guy and like what he stands for and what he does and like his whole shtick, right? Because this is something that a lot of people it feels so unique and fresh, like this idea of this guy who goes out there even though he and pretends to be this like invincible hero even though he's having like insane personal problems with like his powers and stuff like that. Like, All Might to me is a pretty good alternate take on like a separate take, like a completely different worldview on like how someone like Saitama would be like in this kind of setting, because like Saitama is like an invincible hero played completely straight, right? He has no weaknesses, he has no flaws, he has no like nothing can beat him, stuff like that. All Might is sort of the same way, but the show right off the bat seems to be building up to like his eventual downfall, and that's like the conflict of this first season. Like, pretty much is that these villains know or aware that All Might is declining, and they're trying to take advantage of that, and they're trying to like it's just like that. It's very interesting. Like, it's kind of it seems like All Might losing a fight is inevitable, but he's not quite there yet. He's still like getting to that point where like he just can't do this thing that he really loves anymore, and that's really interesting to me. And that's one of the things that like really sticks out to me about him. Like, he's an invincible hero, but he has like all of these unique aspects to him. Like, his whole like smiling all the time thing, like really unique character. But you can tell he's like really conflicted about like what he should do and things like that, like how he should handle Deku and just what he should be doing in general. It's just like, it's interesting. Like, I think his defining moment when he tells Deku like he can't become a hero without a quirk. He leaves, but then he's immediately like, "You should become a police officer. That's a fine profession." And I was just like, "Wow, you get the impression that this guy really loves and respects everyone on who's a hero and like who supports society and like tons of." That's one of the things I really liked about Saitama as well, is that he really supported like a he really likes and supports like people like Moomin Rider, who like go in over their head and stuff like that. All Might is sort of the same way, but they're different at the same time. It's really interesting, like taking this into account and like really seeing how these people are different and how they handle situations differently. Like, All Might is like beloved by the population, while nobody knows who the fuck Saitama is. So that's the thing that really interested me about this. Like All Might, I think, is the standout character in this, even though he's not the protagonist, and he's not the only interesting character here. Like I'm fond of pretty much all of the heroes. They all have like unique personalities and powers and stuff like that. They all have like skills. They all like seem to belong there. Like the thing about Deku. Okay, I want to get to Deku because I just started talking about All Might, and you can't really talk about All Might without talking about Deku. Deku wants to be just like All Might, even though he doesn't have a quirk. And this is the thing that like really put me off early on was that like All Might was like, oh, I can just give you my quirk, and I was just like, what? And then Deku is like the same way. He's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And All Might's like, oh, my quirk is different than other quirks. I can give it to you. And I'm just like, that's not what I would have done. Like what I would have done is like have Deku like train like and be better than heroes even without using the quirk. And that's kind of the interesting thing about it is that like he kind of does that because he doesn't really use the quirk as his quirk as much as like other people use their powers. Quirks are powers in this My Hero Academia. Um, Deku, to me, sticks out to me compared to other shonen protagonists because way more so than like other popular shonen characters like a Luffy or Naruto or Goku specifically come to mind. Deku comes off as knowing exactly what the fuck he has to do and what the fuck he should do. Like there are so many times during this, like so many fights he's in and like so many situations he's involved in where he comes up with a genuinely innovative, creative like solution to his problems. Like he comes up with like so many things like incredible. Like from the very beginning, when he charges that sludge monster, right? Like every other show would have had him like unlock his power then and like beat the shit out of him. But no, he doesn't unlock his power. He does his best with like his bag of books and like hits the guy in the eye and like distracts him for a couple of seconds and inspires All Might to come into his rescue. Like that's different than it's just like Deku did not win that fight. Okay, he didn't. He had to be rescued, but he held him off for a couple of seconds. And in this show, with someone like All Might around, that's all you really need. And that's kind of incredible. Like you get the impression Deku knows what he's doing. He just has to like work really hard to get there and like get to where he needs to be and stuff like that. And All Might sees that in him too, and like gives him his work, which again could have been a really easy cop out for like a Deku's core problem early on is that like he doesn't have a core. He wants to be a superhero, but he doesn't have a power. But then All Might just gives him his power. That would have been really easy to like just say that like, oh, he has all of All Might's invincible powers now. No, that's not how it happens. He has to like train for it. He has to like work his ass off. They really emphasize this really well, by the way, is that he does all this shit to like get there, and then like 10 months later he does it. He gets into the academy. He meets these people, and then like he immediately starts having other issues, which is really well handled in my opinion. Is that like his powers haven't quite manifested themselves yet. Yeah, he has this like it's like if one punch he has like this power right where he can punch something really hard once, but that breaks every bone in his body. Like he can jump 20 he can jump like up to a skyscraper level, but it'll like break his legs. So like it like ruins his opportunity to like really do really good hero work. It just like and like one of the teachers, Izawa, who I really want to talk about as well, by the way, that guy really points out is like, this isn't practical. This isn't a practical quirk. Like if you can control it, that would be great, but you can't. So you might not belong here. And this is a really real character conflict for Deku, just like how he's going to do this and just how he's going to like survive in this setting where he's just not quite ready to handle this. Like despite all of his like positive attributes, he like still struggles to really compete, and that's kind of interesting because like it would have been so easy. Like I really emphasize this a lot, but this show really does remind me of like Naruto, like specifically the rivalry, but I'm gonna get to that rivalry when I talk about that. But this show reminds me a lot of just Naruto in general. It's just like more so than Naruto, I feel like the character conflict is handled so much better. And like the overall plot is just so much more interesting. And like what's going to happen next is just like I I feel like Naruto, like I think a lot of people tend to like blame part two for the decline of Naruto, but I think the wheels were starting to turn downward from like shit from like since the end of the wave arc. Okay, like they were doing all of this shit where they were introducing all these characters that didn't really do anything, all these plot lines that didn't really go anywhere for years. All this bullshit about like Sasuke that wasn't really that interesting. Like tons of character resolutions weren't all that interesting. It was just like a complete mess, and I don't really feel that way about My Hero Academia at all. Like every other episode, I feel like you're learning something new about the world, about the setting, about the characters, about their history with one another, their powers, stuff like that. I got through the entire season, and like tons of the characters I really like. I don't even think I know their names that well because like they don't really elaborate on them, but you get the impression they have like their own unique powers and their capabilities and stuff like that. Like the Hawk guy, like that guy who has like a bird's head and he has like this weird like a claw power, like it goes under his cloak and like comes out. That guy was fucking awesome, and I don't even think they said his name, and he just like fucking awesome, like a Invisible Girl, hilarious. The naked girl is just like, I'll take off all my clothes. Just like weird. Weird. Like the frog girl, I liked her. Like shit. The weird love child between like Hinata, Hyuga, and Kiba. Like she looks like Hinata, but she has like Kiba's tattoos under her cheek. Like really weird. She was cool. That class rep assistant girl, she was awesome. Ida, the jetpack guy, he was great. Like again, he's probably the most fleshed out student so far. Like for the most part, we mostly focused on the teachers and their Deku and their conflicting. Oh, and the rival, what's his name? Byakko, that's his last name. They keep referring to him by like his last name and his first name. So like I keep forgetting which is which. I think it's Katsuya Byakko, I think, like the fire guy, the guy with like grenades for hands, the guy who fucking hates Deku. Now, this is the thing that I think the show kind of falls short on, and I really want to emphasize this a lot because I really wonder if this is going to be a problem going forward. Is the villains? The heroes in the setting are so unique and so creative and so fun and so well thought out, but the villains are incredibly lame. Like I cannot remember the last time I've been like so disappointed in a villain in a fucking anime that I really really like. Like I can't think of anything. Like shit, maybe One Piece. Like I was watching that like a while back, and I was like kind of disappointed with some of the later villains. Like I don't know. Did Mob Psycho have bad villains? I wonder if this is a Studio Bones thing. But anyway, the villains are okay. So I was talking about Katsuya specifically. That guy, Byaku, whatever his name is. That guy specifically is that like this guy. Again, this is something I really want to emphasize, and like I think this is the one thing that Naruto did way better than My Hero Academia, at least early on, because the rivalry between Naruto and Sasuke like felt genuine. It felt real. It felt like there was something there. You got understood exactly why these two people did not like each other, and just why that created friction between them and why they would fight all the time. But they still had to work together in spite of that. Katsuya, in comparison, feels like a complete bitch for absolutely no reason. Like people give Sasuke shit for having like everything handed to him and like having all these ridiculous powers and stuff like that, and like having people suck his dick for like no reason, like being the real hero of the story and stuff like that. I kind of disagree, at least early on. Like I felt like it was fine early on. It just got like way out of hand. In this show, it feels like this guy has like all this shit that like Deku really wants to be, and then he just like hates Deku for like no fucking reason, like at all. Like I really don't understand this mindset where he's just like, I'm going to be the greatest, most powerful hero, the richest hero, and you are never going to do it, Deku. I just like, uh, what? What? Why? Just like he has this weird vendetta against Deku for like trying to help him all the time, for like trying to be his friend or whatever, and it's just like I don't understand it at all, dude. Like with Sasuke, it makes a lot of fucking sense. about why he would like push people away because they really drive home his like backstory and stuff like that. Just like what his personality is like though. But with this guy, I keep saying calling him this guy, but I think is that guy with this guy, I don't really get the reasoning behind it. He's just like really angry at Deku for no fucking reason. And it's just like, it's just at Deku too. It's not like at anybody else who wants to be a hero. It's entirely just like Deku and how he doesn't like him for like wanting to be a hero, even though he doesn't have a quirk. Like, what's the reasoning behind it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then he gets like so pissy, like more than anyone. He is so fucking pissy that Deku has a quirk, and he's just like, what? He can't do that? Like, has he been hiding this from me the entire time? And I'm just like, why is this a character conflict? Like, this is something that, like, should have been, established from the beginning. Like, these guys have known each other for years. But, like, at the end of the first season, I still don't really understand why. And I don't really... The fight between them is awesome, by the way. That's probably the highlight of the season. Like, the fight itself is awesome. Way better than the last fight. But... that fight was awesome, but like the motivations behind it, why he would like take such ridiculous risks and like fucking trying to fucking kill Deku in like a fucking exam, like what? It's just like wow, this guy has problems, and like they don't really establish why. Definitely, the villains in general are kind of lackluster. Like the villains of the finale. The finale in general had a terrible setup. Like probably the worst plot element of the series so far is that like the kids are taken on a field trip to some facility off campus and they're just like, yeah, we're going on a rescue mission. But no, villains come out of a portal and fucking jump them and like start attacking everybody and start fucking shit up. But the villains, okay, they all have cool designs. Okay. Not all of them. Like the guy with the hands on his face, he has a cool design. Everyone else looks incredibly lame and generic. And they all have like these really shitty, like they all have these really lame powers. They're not inspired at all. They're just like, we're gonna kill All Might. And then they just like they fucking go. Their brilliant plan is to like they had this guy. They're going to have a bunch of like a bunch of guys walk through a portal, fight these students, and then like have their super guy kill All Might. That's their brilliant plan. Like Deku's just like, what is their plan? It's just like they don't really have one. It's just like, wow, there's so much about and this guy, I cannot emphasize enough just how non-threatening these villains are. Like the guy with hands, like he looks awesome, right? He has like this really unique design and stuff like that, but he does this thing. He just like starts at random moments, he starts like scratching his neck for like no reason at all. Like it happens when like somebody fucks up his plan or whatever. Like what? This didn't go to the plan. We have to go back to the title stream. It's game over for us. Are you ready for the like this guy? This guy. He seems to be like more fucking obsessed with video games than I am because everything he says is like a pun or like a phrase relating to video games in some way. And it's just like, it's so fucking stupid. Like, you can tell the guy who made this was really into fucking video games. Because, like, there are so many instances in this where, like, you see people, like, make video game references like, oh, that's the final boss. Just like, no, he is. Just, it's so fucking stupid. Like, it would work in context. Like, maybe if this was, like, a Sword Art Online or something like that. Or, like, this is an actual video game. Like, this kind of line would make sense. But no, here it's just fucking stupid. And here it's just like the villains in general, I cannot emphasize enough just how disappointing they are in general. Like the final fight in general, the conflict isn't whether or not All Might can beat them, because he can. The issue is that like he's declining and like it's intense. Like I'm not sure. Here's the thing I don't really hold against these guys though. Is like, is having them be non-threatening completely intentional? Was it to emphasize that All Might was getting weaker? Because like it was established that these guys would not be a threat to him, and like if he was like in top form, but he's not, and probably never will be again. So it's just like these guys just come out of nowhere and are just like incredibly non-threatening. Like a lot of the students, a lot of them do a really good job of like fighting them, like Katsuya, like the red-haired guy who kind of looks like Toya, no, not Toya, what's his name? Jin from Yu Yu Hakusho, that guy. You can like morph his hand. Those guys do well. The electric guy and those girls do well. The electric guy, he's another guy who seems like he has like an interesting personality, but you don't really see him at all. Like he just has like electrical powers that can like uh, that he can't really control that well, and just like a ton of these people. This is the kind of thing I'm kind of curious about. Like this is supposed to be like an elite school for like the most elite candidates for like superheroes and stuff like that, but tons of these people seem to not have like really practical powers. Like you have the Frog Girl, like people say she's awesome and she kind of is, but like I was just thinking about this. Like, would she really be like the top 0.2% of like candidates for like the UA? Like, I don't fucking think so. Like, for Ida, I can kind of see that. For the Zero Gravity Girl, like she's useful in this, like especially with like that whole Deku, especially in that whole like when she teams up with Deku, like she's useful. She knows how to use her powers for what they are, but like all she does is like make things zero gravity. Like I'm really worried she's gonna have Sakura syndrome, where like she's going to be fucking sidelined. Even though I really like her, she's really likable. Deku's relationship with her. I talked to a girl. Cracked me up. That was so fucking funny. I was not expecting that at all. It was just like, this is going to be a way different relationship, or like a than most. It's just like, I don't know. Deku really sticks out to me from like most shonen protagonists. He really does. He really does feel like a breath of fresh air compared to like so many of these other assholes. Like, how long did it take Naruto to fuck Hinata? Like fucking bullshit. Like, does Goku even know how like Gohan was born? Like, how that happened? Just like, I don't. I'm not fucking sure of that. Like, shit. I'm not fucking convinced. Deku seems to know what's up though. Just like shit. Deku. I don't know. Like, so many of these characters are likable and they all have like unique personalities. Like, again, maybe they're fleshed out more in season 2. Like, again, I'm not disappointed with it at all. It really does feel like they just did not have enough time in these 13 episodes to really emphasize all of these characters, because like there's a lot of them, like at least like what, 20, 30. Like I'm curious about the principal guy. Oh, I wanted to talk about Iwazaru, their teacher, right? Like I really want to talk about this guy, and really I think this guy is probably the most interesting character in the series so far. Well, okay, All Might, of course, All Might's like the best. Iwazaru, this guy who is in conflict with All Might, considering like they have different philosophies on like their teaching style and stuff like that. It would be so easy to make this guy like an antagonist for Deku, because like he doesn't like how Deku can't control his powers and how that's not practical. But no, like you really get this impression, like seeing this guy, that he's a hero who has a genuinely different worldview than All Might, and a different view on like society and what he should be doing and things like that. Like there's a conflict between them, but it doesn't feel like antagonistic at all. Like it feels so interesting. It just feels like genuine. It feels like a Superman versus Batman sort of situation, where like they're very different, but they have like the same sort of like they have the different values, but it all amounts like the same thing, where they want to like help people and stuff like that. Like that guy got Iwazaru got the crap beat out of him in the finale. So yeah, the other teacher, like 13, the female hero didn't do shit in this. I really hope this isn't going to become like a Naruto situation where like the female characters can't do shit, because that's kind of sticking out to me right now, is that the female powers in general seem to be way less useful than like some of the guys. But anyway, 13 didn't do shit besides like suck up that guy. Like I don't know. Like the thing about 13 is that like shit. What is that girl's name? What is that girl's name? Shit, I completely forgot. I never learned it. Like she said it like once, and then like they don't really refer to her as name. Like Deku's just like, it's that girl. I'm just like, what is that girl's name? Just like, okay. So Zero Gravity Girl, like that girl. She thinks 13 is her favorite hero. Like she says 13 is her favorite hero, and I was just like, why? They don't explain this. Like, why the fuck is 13 your favorite hero? Like, I don't know. Like, I thought it was kind of lame that Deku's favorite hero was like the most popular hero in the world, but whatever. It works for the story. It works for the set. Whatever. Like, you need to establish who the most popular hero is. Whatever. Yeah, but Zero Gravity Girl's favorite hero is 13. Like, why? Like, is there a reason for that? Like, I don't know. They don't really explain that at all. Like, I don't know. There's so much in this show that they don't really explain that well. Like, again, the principal, like, why does he have a scar? Why is he a fucking, like, the cat at the end? Like, he's this, like, he's a cop, but his quirk is that he's like a cat. So he has like a bell on his chest, and it's just like, you don't know anything about this guy at all, but he just like salutes. And then like the students are just like, he's a cat. He's so cute. Just like I love like I wish they established this stuff more and like talked about this more about what's just like I don't know like I'm really hyped to watch season two. I'm not gonna do it for a while because like again I have like tons of other shows I want to watch first. But like make no mistake, I am hyped to watch season two. I really did enjoy myself. I hope this show continues to impress me. Uh, is there anything else I wanted to say about it? Like again, this show really has a unique, really puts a unique take on like the whole superhero thing. Like fuck the Avengers, fuck the Justice League, fuck those guys. I want to watch My Hero Academia. Oh yeah. I am a Sky. I wanted to I wanted to mention this. Like one of my favorite movies growing up. Well, one of the favorite movies I specifically ever watched on TV during a specific period of my life. One of my favorite movies during that period of my life was Sky High, a movie that everybody seems to have completely forgotten about, but was about superheroes going to high school. And I was always pissed that they never did anything more with that idea than just make a movie about it. Because that movie, although it was great, it felt like it ended way too soon. So My Hero Academia seems to be fixing that problem. My Hero Academia is anime Sky High, and that makes me very happy.